So here we are, continuing on then with our study of the book of Mark, the fantastic story of the life of Jesus Christ. This chapter contains several different stories. One about Jesus healing on the Jewish Sabbath day. Second one describes the huge number of crowds that start to form around about Jesus. Then he chooses his team, has a duel with the prince of demons, and then says some very hard teachings about what it is to really be part of the family of Jesus. Jesus went into the synagogue again and noticed a man with a deformed hand. Since it was the Sabbath, Jesus' enemies watched carefully. If he healed the man's hand, they planned to accuse him of working on the Sabbath. Jesus said to the man with the deformed hand, "Come and stand in front of everyone." Then he turned to his critics and said, "Does the law permit good deeds on the Sabbath, or is it a day for doing evil? Is it a day to save life or to destroy it?" But they wouldn't answer him. So he looked round at them angrily and was deeply saddened with their hard hearts. Then he said to the man, "Hold out your hand." So the man held out his hand and it was restored. At once the Pharisees went away and met with the supporters of Herod to plot how to kill Jesus. Jesus went out to the lake with his disciples and a large crowd followed him. They came from all over Galilee, Judea, Jerusalem, Idumea, from the east of the Jordan River, and even as far north as Tyre and Sidon. The news of his miracles had spread far and wide, and vast numbers of people came to see him. Jesus instructed his disciples to have a boat ready so the crowd would not crush him. He had healed many people that day, so all the sick people eagerly pushed forward to touch him. When those who were possessed with evil spirits caught sight of him, the spirits would throw them to the ground in front of him, shrieking, "You are the Son of God!" But Jesus sternly commanded the spirits not to reveal who he was. Afterward, Jesus went up to a mountain, and he called the ones that he wanted to go with him. They came to him, and he appointed 12 of them and called them his apostles. They were to accompany him, and he would send them out to preach, giving them authority to cast out demons. These are the 12 that he chose: Simon, who he named Peter, James and John, the sons of Zebedee, but Jesus nicknamed them sons of thunder, Andrew, Philip, Bartholomew, Matthew, Thomas, James the son of Alphaeus, Thaddeus, Simon the Zealot, and Judas Iscariot, who later betrayed him. One time Jesus entered into a house, and the crowds began to gather again, so that his disciples couldn't even find time to eat. When his family heard what was happening, they tried to take him away. "He's out of his mind," they said. But the religious teachers of the law who had arrived from Jerusalem said, "He's possessed by Satan, the prince of demons. That's where he gets his power to cast out demons." Jesus called them over and responded with an illustration. "How can Satan cast out Satan?" he asked. "A kingdom divided against itself with civil war will collapse. Similarly, a family splintered by feuding will fall apart. If Satan's divided and fights against himself, how can he stand? He would never survive. Let me illustrate this further," he said. "Who is powerful enough to enter into the house of a strong man like Satan and plunder his goods? Only someone even stronger than he, someone who could tie him up and then plunder his house. I tell you the truth. All sin and blasphemy can be forgiven, but anyone who blasphemes against the Holy Spirit will never be forgiven. This is a sin with eternal consequences." He told them this because they were saying that Jesus, he was possessed with an evil spirit. Then Jesus' mother and brothers came to see him. They stood outside and sent word to him to come out and talk to them. There was a crowd sitting round Jesus, and someone said, "Your mother and your brothers are outside asking for you." Jesus replied, "Who is my mother? Who are my brothers?" Then he looked around them and said, "Look at these are my brother and my mother. Anyone who does God's will is my brother and sister and mother." And that's the end of chapter number 3. God bless.